The sky split open above New York City. Commander John Hayes squinted through binoculars from the military observation post on the roof of the Pentagon. The massive alien ship broke through the clouds, its dark metal hull stretching nearly a mile across. It moved with impossible silence for something so large. "Sir, we have similar reports coming in from London, Beijing, Moscow, and 17 other major cities," said Lieutenant Garcia, her voice tight with controlled panic. Hayes lowered the binoculars. His heart hammered in his chest, but 20 years of military discipline kept his face neutral. "Alert all commands, defensive positions only. Nobody fires unless fired upon." Across the world, fighter jets scrambled into the air. Missile systems locked onto targets that defied radar. Soldiers gripped their weapons with sweaty hands. The alien vessel stopped, hovering 3,000 feet above Manhattan. No weapons appeared. No movement, just waiting. Hayes's secure phone rang. "Commander Hayes speaking. John, it's General Ward. You're being reassigned. Get to Andrews Air Force Base immediately. The President wants you on the diplomatic team." "Sir, I'm a combat specialist, not a..." "You're the best tactical mind we have, and you've studied more theoretical alien contact scenarios than anyone in the service. We need you in that room." 6 hours later, Hayes stood in the hastily assembled meeting chamber at the United Nations. World leaders and military commanders filled the room with nervous energy. The aliens had finally sent a message. They wished to talk. The wall screen flickered to life. The being on screen had gray-blue skin stretched over a skeletal frame. Its eyes were large, black, and without visible pupils. "People of Earth," it said in perfect English. "We are the Krell. Our star system is dying. We come seeking sanctuary. We offer knowledge and technology beyond your understanding in exchange for a new home." The room erupted in whispers. Hayes studied the alien face, looking for any sign of deception. Something felt wrong. 3 days of tense negotiations followed. The Krell ambassador, who called itself Emissary Vex, demonstrated technology that seemed like magic. Medical devices that could cure cancer. Energy sources that made nuclear power look primitive. "They're offering us the stars," the president said during a private briefing. Hayes frowned. "Sir, they're offering us too much for too little. That's not how desperate refugees behave." "Your concerns are noted, Commander, but the world is voting to accept their offer." That night, Hayes couldn't sleep. He slipped past security at the temporary Krell embassy and planted surveillance devices of his own. What he found sent ice through his veins. The Krell were speaking in their own language when alone. Hayes recorded it and ran it through military translation software. The partial translation made his blood run cold. "The humans suspect nothing. Deployment proceeding as planned. Atmospheric seeding will begin tonight." Hayes downloaded the data and ran. He had to warn someone. Anyone. At the edge of the compound, he stopped. Above him, the massive Krell ship opened previously hidden compartments. Thousands of smaller objects deployed, spreading across the night sky like deadly seeds. Hayes took out his phone and started recording. Whatever the Krell really wanted, it wasn't sanctuary, and he was the only one who knew. 6 months had passed since first contact. Commander John Hayes stared at his new desk in the basement of the Pentagon, a demotion that stung worse than the words stamped across his file. Psychological evaluation recommended. No one believed him. His evidence was dismissed as doctored footage. The Krell had become heroes, sharing medical technology that cured diseases and energy systems that ended power shortages. Their settlements now existed on every continent. Hayes looked up as someone knocked on his door. Dr. Liam Foster entered, his lab coat wrinkled, dark circles under his eyes. "You were right," Foster whispered, closing the door. "Something is happening to our people." Hayes sat up straight. "Tell me." "I've been testing blood samples from military personnel stationed near Krell settlements. There's something in their bloodstream, microscopic machines, nanobots." Hayes felt a cold certainty settle in his gut. "Show me." In Foster's lab, Hayes watched through a microscope as tiny metal objects moved through a blood sample. They attached themselves to red blood cells riding through the bloodstream. What are they doing? Hayes asked. They gather near the brain. I think they're affecting neural pathways, changing how people think. Hayes slammed his fist on the table. Mind control. That's why nobody believes me. That's why General Ward suddenly trusts them completely. Foster nodded. I've mapped the affected personnel. Every single one works in strategic defense positions. That night, Hayes assembled a small team of 5 people he trusted, including Foster and Sergeant Maria Diaz, his former squad mate who still believed in him. We need proof they can't ignore, Hayes said. We need to get inside their main ship. The plan was simple but dangerous. Using maintenance uniforms and forged passes, they infiltrated the Krell vessel docked outside Washington, D.C. The alien corridors hummed with strange energy. The air smelled like metal and ozone. This way, Hayes whispered, following the schematics he'd memorized from public tours. They reached a sealed door marked with Krell symbols. Diaz placed a device on the lock, bypassing it in seconds. Inside, screens filled the walls, showing maps of Earth's military bases, power grids, and water supplies. Record everything, Hayes ordered. Foster gasped at another screen. These are deployment schedules. They're releasing the nanobots systematically. Global coverage within 2 more months. Hayes found a data terminal and plugged in a device to download files. The alien text translated slowly on his screen. Phase 1, infiltration complete. Phase 2, control of defense systems. Phase 3, neutralize resistance. Phase 4, full occupation. This isn't refuge, Hayes said. It's invasion. Alarms suddenly blared. Red lights flashed through the corridors. We've been detected, Diaz shouted, drawing her weapon. 3 Krell guards appeared at the door, raising strange weapons that pulsed with blue energy. Diaz fired first, dropping 1 alien. Hayes tackled another as Foster grabbed the data device. Run, Hayes ordered, fighting the alien with desperate strength. Its skin felt like rubber over steel. They fought their way back through the ship, Diaz taking a glancing hit from an energy weapon that left her arm burned and useless. Hayes killed 2 more Krell before they reached the exit. Back at their hidden base, Hayes uploaded the evidence to send to world leaders. His hand hovered over the send button when breaking news flashed across the screen. The president stood at a podium, his eyes strangely vacant. Beside him stood Emissary Vex. To ensure peaceful cooperation, the president announced, I have authorized the integration of Krell advisors into all Earth defense systems, effective immediately. Hayes stared in horror at the screen. Behind the president stood General Ward and the Joint Chiefs, all wearing the same empty expression. We're too late, Foster whispered. They've already taken control. The mountain bunker shook as explosions hit the ridge above. Hayes wiped sweat from his forehead and studied the tactical map. 1 year since the Krell had dropped their friendly mask. 1 year of fighting a losing war. Status report, Hayes barked into the radio. Krell forces moving through the valley, Diaz responded, her voice crackling through static. We've set the charges, waiting for your signal. Hayes looked around the command center. 20 men and women operated equipment salvaged from abandoned military bases. The resistance was small but growing. Each day more humans broke free from Krell control. Dr. Foster needs to see you, said a young soldier. Says it's urgent. In the makeshift lab, Foster stood over a captured Krell device, his face lit by its blue glow. I found it, Foster said, eyes wide with excitement. A frequency that disrupts the nanobots. It temporarily frees controlled humans. Hayes felt hope for the first time in months. How long does it last? About 6 hours, but I can build transmitters. We can free soldiers, turn them against the Krell. Hayes grabbed Foster's shoulder. This changes everything. The plan came together quickly. Intelligence showed a Krell research facility in the mountains lightly guarded. The perfect test for Foster's device. That night, Hayes led a team of 12 through the forest. They wore mismatched body armor and carried weapons taken from fallen enemies. The Krell facility glowed with eerie blue light ahead. Activate the transmitter, Hayes ordered. Foster turned on the device. It hummed quietly, sending invisible waves toward the facility. Minutes later, confused shouts came from inside. "It's working," Diaz whispered. "The guards are waking up." They moved in fast. Hayes shot the lock off the main door. Inside, human guards stood confused, free from Krell control for the first time in months. "We're here to help," Hayes told them. "The aliens are controlling your minds." Most joined them immediately. Hayes led the expanded team deeper into the facility. What they found made his stomach turn. Humans in glass tanks, bodies cut open, organs removed and studied, some still alive, connected to machines. "They're experimenting on us," Foster said, checking a computer terminal, "using us to create biological weapons." A woman in a lab coat huddled in the corner, trembling. Hayes approached her slowly. "I'm Commander Hayes. We're getting you out of here." "Kate Daniels," she said, voice hoarse. "Engineer. They forced me to adapt their technology for Earth weapons." "Can you help us fight them?" Hayes asked. Kate's eyes hardened. "They killed my family. I'll do more than help. I know their weakness." Back at the bunker, Kate drew diagrams of Krell systems on a whiteboard. "Their ships, their weapons, even the nanobots all connect to a hive mind," she explained. "It's their strength, but also their vulnerability. Overload one system, and it cascades through their network." Hayes felt a surge of hope. "How do we overload it?" "We hit their communication nodes simultaneously. I can build devices that will send feedback loops through their system." 3 weeks later, resistance cells worldwide launched coordinated attacks on Krell communication towers. Hayes led the assault on the primary node in Colorado. The battle was fierce. Krell guards fought with desperate strength. Hayes lost good people with each step forward, but they reached the control room. Kate connected her device to the alien console. "Uploading virus now." Across the world, Krell ships lost control. Some crashed into the ground. Others fired weapons randomly. Their perfect coordination shattered. For the first time, humanity had struck a real blow against the invaders. The main screen in the control room suddenly activated. A Krell appeared, larger than any Hayes had seen before. Its black eyes seemed to stare directly at him. "I am Supreme Commander Vex," it said. "You have caused a minor inconvenience. For this, your species will not be conquered. It will be exterminated." The screen showed massive warships appearing from behind the moon, hundreds of them, moving toward Earth. "We never saw their real fleet," Kate whispered. "This was just the advance force." Fire rained from the sky. Hayes pressed his back against the concrete wall as another explosion shook the underground bunker. The Krell warships had been bombarding Earth for 3 days straight. Major cities were gone. Millions dead. "Commander, we can't stay here," Diaz said, blood caked on her forehead from a wound that wouldn't stop bleeding. "They're using orbital scans to target resistant strongholds." Hayes nodded grimly. "Evacuation Plan Delta. We move in groups of 5, 10 minutes apart." The resistance fighters gathered what supplies they could carry. Food was running low, ammunition lower, but Hayes saw determination in their eyes, not defeat. Kate Daniels approached, carrying a metal case. "I finished it," she said, opening the case to reveal a device the size of a football pulsing with blue-green light. "Will it work?" Hayes asked. "In theory, it's a virus that will corrupt their hive mind permanently, but we need to upload it directly to their command ship." Hayes stared at the device. "That's suicide." "Not if we had our own ship," Kate said. "There's a smaller Krell vessel at their forward base. We could capture it." Hayes looked at his team. They were exhausted, injured, but still fighting. "We'd need the FTL drive intact to reach their command ship in orbit." "I can fly it," Kate said. "They forced me to learn their systems." The plan was desperate, probably impossible, but they had no choice. That night, Hayes led 20 fighters through sewers and storm drains to reach the Krell forward base. Foster's improved transmitter cleared a path, temporarily freeing controlled humans who joined their cause or simply fled. The Krell scout ship sat on a landing pad, guarded by 6 aliens. Hayes signaled the attack. Resistance fighters opened fire from 3 directions. The Krell fell quickly, but alarms blared across the base. "Move!" Hayes shouted, leading the charge toward the ship. Enemy fire cut down 3 fighters before they reached the ramp. Inside, Kate ran to the control panel, her fingers flying over alien symbols. "I need 2 minutes to start the engines," she said. "You've got 30 seconds, Hayes replied as Krell reinforcements appeared at the hangar entrance. The firefight was brutal. Bullets against energy weapons. Human determination against alien technology. Hayes watched half his team die before the ship's engines roared to life. "We're losing hull integrity," Kate shouted as enemy fire punched holes through the ship's skin. "Get us out of here," Hayes ordered, firing his last rounds at the Krell forces. The ship lurched upward, breaking through the hangar roof. Kate piloted with surprising skill, pushing the alien craft into the upper atmosphere. Behind them, Krell fighters launched in pursuit. "FTL drive charging," Kate said. "We need to reach minimum safe distance from Earth's gravity well." Hayes looked at the survivors. 10 people left from his original 20. "This is a one-way trip. Anyone wants out? Speak now." No one said a word. The ship shuddered as enemy fire struck their engines. Warning lights flashed across the control panel. "We're not going to make it to the command ship," Kate said, voice tight with tension. Hayes studied the tactical display. "There." He pointed to a smaller vessel near the massive Krell mothership. "That's a troop transport. We can board it, then use it to reach the command ship." "That's even more suicidal," Diaz said. "Got a better idea?" Hayes asked. The ship rocked with another hit. Systems failed across the board. "Making the jump now," Kate said, activating the FTL drive before it was fully charged. Space twisted around them. The stars blurred. Hayes felt his body compress and stretch at the same time. When reality stabilized, they were drifting near the Krell fleet. The massive command ship loomed ahead, larger than a city. "Engines dead," Kate reported. "Life support failing." Hayes looked at the troop transport nearby. "Then we board that ship, now." As they prepared for spacewalk, the sensors beeped. The transport was moving toward them. "They're coming to investigate," Kate said. Hayes checked his weapon. "Perfect. Let them come to us." The Krell ship docked with their damaged vessel. The airlock opened. Hayes stood ready, facing whatever came through that door. The airlock hissed open. Hayes fired first, dropping 2 Krell soldiers before they could raise their weapons. Diaz and the others joined in, their gunfire echoing in the confined space. "Move!" Hayes shouted, leading the charge into the Krell transport ship. The aliens fought back with desperate strength. Their clawed hands tore through body armor. Their weapons burned holes through flesh. 3 more resistance fighters fell before they secured the bridge. Kate rushed to the controls. "I can fly this, but they've already sent a distress signal." "How long until we reach the command ship?" Hayes asked, reloading his weapon. 5 minutes. We'll have company before then." Hayes turned to his remaining team. 6 fighters left, all wounded, all exhausted. "This is it. We get Kate to the central computer core, she uploads the virus, nothing else matters." The transport ship accelerated toward the massive Krell command vessel. Enemy fighters scrambled to intercept them, but Kate pushed the engines beyond safety limits. "Brace for impact!" she shouted as they crashed into a docking bay. The collision threw them against walls and consoles. Hayes tasted blood in his mouth as he struggled to his feet. Outside the viewports, Krell soldiers were already surrounding the ship. "New plan," Hayes said, pulling Kate aside. "I'll lead them away. You and Diaz get to the core." "That's suicide," Kate argued. Hayes handed her the virus device. "This is all that matters now." They burst from the transport ship, firing in all directions. Hayes ran left, drawing most of the Krell forces after him. Kate and Diaz slipped right, heading deeper into the ship. Hayes fought through corridor after corridor, killing when he could, running when he couldn't. His ammunition ran out. He grabbed a Krell weapon from a fallen enemy and kept fighting. A blast caught him in the leg. He fell, dragging himself behind a console as Krell soldiers closed in. This was it. The end. Then the ship shuddered, lights flickered. The Krell soldiers stopped, clutching their heads in pain. "The virus," Hayes whispered. Kate had done it, but his victory was short-lived. Supreme Commander Vex appeared at the end of the corridor, towering over his soldiers. "Human," Vex hissed, approaching Hayes. You have caused us inconvenience. Now you will know pain. Vex lifted Hayes by the throat. The alien's strength was overwhelming. Hayes felt his windpipe crushing. Your species asked for hope, Vex said. We offered false sanctuary, a mistake. We should have exterminated you immediately. Hayes smiled through bloody teeth. You still don't understand humans. He pressed a detonator in his pocket. Explosives he'd planted during his run through the ship detonated, ripping through the corridor. Vex dropped Hayes as the floor collapsed beneath them. They fell into a massive chamber. The ship's power core pulsed with energy below them. Hayes landed hard, feeling ribs crack. Vex landed on his feet, seemingly unhurt. Your resistance is pointless, Vex said, approaching again. Hayes dragged himself toward a control panel. We didn't ask for hope. We never do. He pulled himself up, facing the alien commander. Earth doesn't send hope to its enemies. Hayes slammed his fist on the emergency override. Warning alarms blared throughout the ship. Earth sends wrath. The power core began to overload. Vex lunged at Hayes, but it was too late. The chain reaction had started. On the other side of the ship, Kate and Diaz reached an escape pod. The virus had worked better than expected, spreading through the entire Krell fleet, disabling their weapons and navigation. Where's Hayes? Diaz asked as they launched away from the command ship. Kate watched through the viewport as the massive vessel began to break apart. He gave us a chance. The Krell command ship exploded in a ball of blinding light. The shockwave hit the rest of the fleet, ships crashing into each other as their systems failed completely. On Earth, military forces suddenly freed from Krell control looked up to see the night sky light up like day. The resistance had won. Humanity had survived. In the escape pod, Kate held a small data device Hayes had given her before their final mission. She activated it, revealing a message. If you're watching this, I didn't make it. But Earth did. The Krell weren't the first to threaten us, they won't be the last, we need to be ready. I've included plans based on their technology. Build it, defend Earth, because next time we won't wait for them to come to us. We'll bring the fight to them. Kate looked out at the stars. We will, she whispered. We will.